Hi there, friends. Let's cook a lasagna tonight. If you happen to try the recipe, let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching. Okay, so of course the cheeses that you use in a lasagna are important. Most people use at least a mozzarella or a mozzarella blend. I just have, it's a mozzarella blend from the store. I'm not sure what brand it is. It really doesn't matter. I will say if you are using cheese, you get much better results and flavor out of using cheese that you shred yourself, shredded cheese, shredded cheese. I don't know. Cheese that's already cut up and packaged for you in the store to keep it from sticking. They cover it, see that powder? They cover it with the stuff that keeps it from sticking. Well, guess what? That also renders a tiny bit of flavor, at least in my mind it does, and it definitely keeps it from melting as well. So if you can, you're always going to get the best results for shredding your own cheese. So today we're using mozzarella. We're going to do some parmesan and some smoked gouda that I need to use up because I thought that sounded good. I've also used cheddar in the past, whatever, but this is what I got today. This is what I'm using today. Okay, if you hear a scratching a noise in the background, that's my cat Naya. She's on the back porch on once in. So other ingredients for this lasagna, we're going to do hot Italian pork sausage. Typically I use the mild, but I wanted it a little extra spice tonight. So we got spice. A whole yellow onion is what that is. You can use whatever kind of onion you want or no onion at all. This is just what I'm doing tonight. This is 3 cloves of garlic, 2 jars of sauce, and a thing of tomato paste. What I like to do with the sauce, I like to kick it up a notch, kind of do my own version. Actual homemade sauce is the best. Again, this is what I got. This is what I'm working with. I know y'all are using jarred sauce and stuff too. Don't pretend like you don't. So anyway, I just grabbed a couple jars of sauce. Why so much sauce? Because we're not boiling any noodles, ladies. No. We're going to use this. Now, I'm going to get on a side tangent about Berea in a little bit. Also got some fresh basil. Fresh herbs makes a world of difference. Fresh cracked pepper, and this pepper in here is the multicolored. There's white pepper, pink pepper, black pepper, whatever. It has like, I don't know, a gazillion different flavors of pepper, and they really each do have their own little flavor note. It's nice. Some sea salt, herbes de Provence. If you've never used this, you got to try it. It's amazing. If you like lavender, there's a lot of lavender in it. Garden sage, that means this was sage that was grown in our garden. We do like to grow a lot of things like onions and herbs and stuff like that in our garden. It really does make a difference in the cooking. We got some oil here, which I'm going to throw down to cook up the pork. And my husband, kind man that he is over there shredding the cheese that we already looked at. And I believe nope, that's not all the ingredients. I'll be right back. Okay, I almost forgot the ricotta blend. So I just take the egg and put it in the ricotta. I'll show you in a few minutes. Okay, first thing we're going to do is heat up the pan. I use some olive oil that is designed for cooking. Be careful when you pick out your olive oil. Usually the extra virgin olive oils are for to be used on salads and bread and not heated up. And the reason that makes a difference is certain oils have different smoke points, which is the point where they start putting off smoke and getting overly heated, and olive oil is notoriously fragile. Now the other thing, I am using a Hexclad pan. I know there's other brands out now that are similar to Hexclad. This is just a real short tutorial on Hexclad itself. The very first time you get it, open it up, it will give you the seasoning directions, which are very simple. I believe it's like just throw some oil in it and warm the pan up on low for 2 minutes and then wash the pan. You're good. A low, medium, medium low, is what you want to use when you use Hexclad. Hexclad retains its heat extremely well, so you want to cook on a lower heat than you would normally cook on. So that's my PSA for the person that I know that will watch this, that I know has a Hexclad pan, because I gave it to him. So that's for her benefit. Okay, so we are using hot Italian sausage here, and just waiting for the oil to get hot a little bit more. Okay, so the meat's doing its thing. If you don't have a tool like this that chops the meat up, I highly suggest it. You can just smash like this, and it cuts the meat up. Yeah, you can do it with a spatula, but not as well as you can with one of these. And you can get like a rotation going. It really makes a difference once you get the pieces cut down into small parts. And the way that I like to do the meat, for anything that's going in any kind of sauce, any kind of ground meat, for any kind of sauce, chili, anything, I like to cook it to where there is a char on it. So it is completely thoroughly well done. I think that gives the most flavor, but only when we're talking about dishes where you have a sauce or soup or something like that involved. Steaks, give them to me raw and wriggling, like Gollum. No, not really. Steaks, I do medium, but you'll see. Once it's charred, it really gives off a good flavor. The texture's better, and then you can take your drippings off of there, and then throw your onions, and if you like mushrooms, throw that in there. And then after those are toasted up a bit, then throw your garlic in. And we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, so my cooking recording has sparked a fight in this house. And you better be careful, because the knives are out. No, I'm kidding. My husband suggested that instead of using the word, I like the meat to have a char, be charred. I should say that I wanted it crispy and brown. But crispy and brown on meat is exactly what char is. And so that's what I meant by char. And we are nowhere near that yet. So I'm going to go back, and the next thing I'm going to do while this meat cooks is work on the ricotta mixture. Okay, on to the next thing. So now we're going to do the ricotta mixture, and I used an entire 16-ounce tub. This is a whole milk based ricotta. The more fat that you have in it, the better it's going to taste. You can do a skim, part skim. You can do like vegan ricotta, which is usually some sort of soy product. I'm not sure. I don't eat that kind of food, but if you do, that's cool. Substitute anything that I show with whatever you want. Again, I'm just showing you what I got on hand, what I'm using. So, but I will say the fat in the ricotta, it will give you like a richer, tastier mouthfeel at the end. 1 egg, the 16 ounce of whole milk ricotta, and then I'm going to throw in some of this. This is 4C cheese. You can find that usually where you can find the other shredded cheeses, and so I like that because it is like asiago, yeah, parmesan Romano. Gives it just a little extra kick. I like to throw that in there for some flavoring, and just a pinch of garlic. I don't really measure when I cook. When I bake, I do. Baking is very precise, but cooking not so much. So I just kind of eyeball it, the amount of cheese. You can say 4 tablespoons worth. So, a good amount, but not like the whole container or anything. And then I'm just going to do a couple shakes of that. Okay, very, very light. If we have to measure it, I'd say 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start warming up the sauce. So I'm going to use 2 jars of sauce, and then throw in a whole bunch of seasoning, and I'll let you see. So we got the 2 jars of sauce in there. I'm just going to throw in a couple tablespoons of this tomato paste. It just gives it a little extra punch. And we got the meat cooking down over here. Okay, wish you could smell this through the phone. It's absolutely amazing. I usually go pretty heavy with this just because I love it so much. I don't know how much of this I go through. It's an insane amount. And it doesn't have to be Badia brand, but any decent herb de Provence. I'd say I'd probably use, I don't know, a couple tablespoons of it. Just, I really love the flavor of it. Okay, we got the cheese all blended up, and my assistant also took our pan that we're going to cook it in and threw some olive oil in there. Yeah, the basil, I'm going to go ahead and chop up now, I think. Okay, sorry about the delay. I always have to say if I'm recording or not. So here we have the herbs de Provence from the store. Here's fresh basil. That's a tomato paste. And then this is sage from our garden. We got ourselves it's like an air fryer and dehydrator, one of them gadgets that does a gazillion things. And we dehydrate our herbs that we don't use up timely so they don't go bad. We just dehydrate them and then use them later. And then this is, what is that? That's something tasty. What is that? I confused myself. This whole thing is sage. That's herbs de Provence, and then the basil. And then what I'm going to do is this meat is getting about to the done point. See how we have a nice browning on there? I call that char. You want it on most of it, and it's getting there. It's almost there. And then we'll just take the sausage out, drain it on a paper towel, throw the sausage right in here with this sauce, so it'll start flavoring that sauce up. We leave the grease, and then in the grease we're going to render down our onions and garlic. Okay, so we're getting the meat about to where I want it, and I think I'm going to go ahead and take it off of here now and drain it on the plate. Yes, I made a huge mess. Not easy to cook one-handed, peeps. But I'm doing what I can with what I got. So now this went, oh look, what is that? That's interesting. That's off of the onion. I'm going to cook the onions down until they're translucent, and then, which takes a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes. And I always see, I have not budged that heat. Everything I've done has been on a real low heat. So I'm going to continue to cook these until they're cooked down. Like I said, it'll take a few minutes. And then once they're mostly cooked down, at that point, I'm going to go ahead and throw the garlic on top and cook that down just until the garlic starts to smell the house up real good. And then at that point, it goes into the sauce. And that is going to give that sauce an amazing flavor. Oh, my lovelies, my beautifuls watching this channel. Let me tell you, if you could smell this, it smells amazing. Now, of course, you know, you can go full gourmet on lasagna, and I have in the past. You know, like make your sauce from scratch, cook it down all day, get your sausage not from a store, but get your sausage from an actual butcher, stuff like that. And I have done that in the past, and I've also even made my own noodles, and you can do that too. But all that is a lot of effort and takes like all day. I'm basically showing you a way to put a lasagna together that's going to taste delicious and taste a little more elevated than just using sauce out of a jar and, you know, basic store ingredients. The extra seasonings and stuff and techniques, it really does. It just elevates it a bit. So if you do give this recipe a try, let me know what you thought of it. Like I said, this time I went with the hot sausage. Actually, it was picked up accidentally, but that's okay. I want to give the hot sausage a try and see if I like it. You know, that might be just a little bit extra element of flavor. This probably needs another minute or so to cook down, and then we'll do the garlic. Okay, so I went ahead and threw in the chopped garlic, or it's pressed, actually use a garlic press. My husband, my wonderful assistant, actually used the garlic press. See the garlic's starting to get a little bit of a brown on it. I'm going to go ahead and taking this off. The garlic you want to be gentle with. You really want to take it off once you can really start to smell it. It becomes very fragrant. You don't want to overdo the garlic because you don't want it to go from that nice lovely garlicky, nutty taste to burnt garlic taste, and it can do that really quickly. So I'm going to take this off, put it in the sauce, put the meat in, let it cook down for a little bit. Okay, I went ahead and put all that in there, and that is what the hex-clad pan looks like after I cooked the meat and then the vegetables in there. It's pretty much all the way clean. They work like a Teflon type pan, only they don't have any of the PFAs or whatever it is, the poisonous stuff that kills us. It doesn't have that, and you can use metal utensils on it. And it works on induction if you have an induction oven. I don't have an induction oven, but I do have an induction burner that I've only used a couple times. I'm not really versed in how it works. What's going on now? I'm getting my oven heated up. I'm going to go ahead and do it to 350. So we're going to use this kind that you don't have to boil. Okay, you'll notice I have not put any salt at any point in this. Why? One, there's already salt in the prefab sauce, and there's a ton of salt in cheese. And salt's not really that good for you. So what you want to do is when you cook like this, cook your thing all the way, and then at the very end, taste it. If you think it needs some salt, go ahead and put some in. I'm not putting salt in this. Tastes plenty salty to me, but I am going to put in some of that pepper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and crank the heat up to 375. That's what this calls for. I'm not really following their recipe anyway, but I wish you guys could smell this. It smells amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and start throwing down this lasagna. The way this lasagna works, basically, this sauce is going to cook the lasagna while it cooks in the oven. So you have to put on a aluminum foil and get it to where it's sealed really tightly all around it so the steam can't escape. And then the steam will cook the noodles while you bake the food. So the way I do this, put the sauce in the pan. The pan's already been oiled by my assistant. Oh, and I don't remember if I pointed this out or not. Well, one, I've got a bruise on the back of my hand. But earlier I did a makeup video. If you already watched that, thank you. If not, if you're interested, go check it out. But I had swatched a eyeliner back there that the manufacturer claimed was waterproof, but I was not convinced. But I went ahead and put it on, swatched it on the back of my hand so you could see the color. And I did wash my hands before I started cooking, and the swatch stayed there. So moral of that story is the ColourPop gel waterproof eyeliner really is waterproof. In between little clips here, I had to go get some makeup remover to remove the eyeliner from the back of my hand. So there's that. So yeah, basically you just want to make sure all your noodles are covered with sauce, because the sauce is what is going to cook the noodles while the lasagna bakes. That's how you do the no boil. And you don't have to do it with this particular brand. I just like this particular brand because they're rolled flat. I like the flat noodles over the ones with the little bumps on them. Ridges, valleys, mountains, I don't know. Okay, so next is a layer of that ricotta mixture. Now remember, this is ricotta and 3 types of cheese and an egg. Some people like ricotta, some don't. If you don't like it, don't use it. Some people will use cottage cheese instead of ricotta. Some people just don't use ricotta at all. Now, if you're asking, where's the beef? There's no beef in this one. I used pork sausage, and all of it is in the sauce. So there will be plenty of meat in this lasagna. If I did not have plenty of meat in the lasagna, my assistant would be angry. He likes the meats. Okay, so next we went in with a blend of the shredded cheeses, which my lovely assistant shredded for me. And again, we got smoked gouda in there and some shredded parmesan and shredded mozzarella. Yum! Okay, so you can see on the next layer, I put a ton of sauce. And then another layer of the noodles, and then the ricotta, and then the cheese and the sauce, and just repeat until we're done. And I'm hoping to have at least 3 full layers, possibly 4. 4 is better in my opinion, and I will try to make that happen. All right, so you see I put a layer of sauce, and this layer of sauce is thin because we're going right in with the layer of ricotta. But what I wanted to do is just make sure, see, like this corner is not covered too much. I want to make sure the whole thing does have a little bit of sauce on it, just for the moisture content, to make sure that these noodles get cooked all the way through. But not too much sauce in between, because it is sitting on a huge pile of sauce. Okay, so you can see again, we got thin layer of sauce, the ricotta cheese, the other kinds of cheese. Now I'll put another thick layer of sauce and go at least 1 more time, if not 2. So that's how I'm layering this lasagna. Okay, so we have 4 layers, and here's where some of the magic happens. That fresh basil that I chopped up, I'm going to put a little layer of that here. And then this is going to be right underneath the cheese layer. Now I will have to wrap this up nice and tightly with some aluminum foil. Okay, so we've got the basil on there. Now I'm going to top it with this cheese. It's mostly mozzarella at this point. Right. So while I was standing there cooking, I got a little woozy. You see the sweat on my nose? I think my blood sugar's a little bit low, so I'm drinking some milk to bring it up. And my husband's going ahead and putting the delicious smelling lasagna into the oven. We are going to cook it at 375 for 30 minutes, and then I am going to look at it, stick the thermometer in the middle, see if it's cooked all the way through, make sure the noodles are the right texture. At this point, we're really just cooking the noodles. And then once I'm satisfied with the amount of cooking of the noodles, I will take the aluminum foil off, and then I'll broil it under low broil for just a couple minutes. And I don't mean minutes, I mean maybe 30 seconds. And kind of stand by the oven and keep an eyeball on it, because you don't want your cheese to burn, which is usually what I end up doing. And I set off the smoke alarms, and then somebody in my family yells out, "Dinner's ready." True story. Happens, I don't know, last week. Many times it happens. Anyway, keep an eye on your broiler to make sure you don't burn your cheese. And after you get your lasagna out, you do need to let it sit for a few minutes. A minimum of 5. You're probably better off letting it sit 10 minutes or so, just so the cheeses form up a little bit, so it's not just a runny mess when you cut it open. Plus, I mean, you're getting it out of the oven at 350. I don't think your palate and gums and tongue can take a 350. Whew. I do think my blood sugar was a little low. I feel better after drinking the milk and sitting down for a minute. Okay, so I will be back and show you once the lasagna is out of the oven. Okay, steamy hot out of the oven. Can you hear it? Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, so now I'm going to stick it under the broiler. I'm going to smooth the cheese out right there. Well, actually, let me test it first. My very scientific method here. Yeah, that feels done. You don't have something like this? You want it. Trying to open it up. It's a thermometer. It has the temperatures on it that meat should be, because if you're like me, you can't remember crap, and it does a really quick read to tell you what your temperature is. Yeah, we're good. So now I'm just going to go ahead and broil the top to put a nice browning on that cheese. Okay, I broiled it on low setting for 3 minutes. I put the timer on. So that's what she looks like. You can see the basil peeking here and there. See a little piece of basil there? And this will, I'll probably let it sit at least 10 minutes and let that goodness all melt together and let it rest. So that way it's not boiling. Dun, 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 da, da. Okay. Okay, it's been 12 minutes. Cut it onto, let's use that plate there. Oh, yeah, half of that. Ooh, look at that. Okay, there it is. So that is the hot pork sausage lasagna that I made for dinner tonight. You can serve lasagna with a salad or sauteed spinach. It is really good. And of course, garlic bread if you want that, or some kind of soup or something. But tonight, we're just having lasagna. It's fine. Good enough. So enjoy your evening. Thanks for watching. If you decide to make this, let me know. Let me know if you do, and let me know how it turned out if you like it. Okay? Thanks. See you next time. Bye. All right. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Let me know if you make it. Let me know what you think. Let me know.